Queen had a standard plot. People were divided into red bloods and silver bloods. The silver bloods had superhero powers and their boots on the backs of the reds' necks. A red named Mare manages to gain silver powers and then is thrown into a world of political intrigue and rebellion. But what made Red Queen so successful was the fact that it was genre aware. It took those YE cliches that you knew so well and just threw them in your face.
Glass Sword was not as lucky. So many things were wrong with this novel that I don't know exactly where to start. The plot, the pacing, the characters, the dialogue, the writing style, all of it was just way off mark. A giant slogfest that was extremely disappointing.
So where did everything go wrong? On the surface, the plot sounds fine. Mare, Cal, and the Red Guard escape Maven's army after the Battle of the Bones. They run to the Red Guard's new island base, but then Mare butts heads with the new command. She is all for saving the New Bloods, which is what they're calling Reds with silver powers, but New Command doesn't see them as a valuable asset. Knowing that Maven is going to start assassinating them very soon, Mare decides she wants to get to them first.
So Mare, Cal, and the others escape from the island to go and find the New Bloods, and they start running covert operations and are successful for as many times as they're not. And eventually they learn that Maven is holding a bunch of New Bloods in this secret prison for experimentation, and so they set out on a giant rescue mission to save them all.
But let's discuss the giant problem right out of the gate, and that's Mare. In Red Queen, she was a pretty good heroine. She made her mistakes, she didn't always know what the course of action she should take should be, but she made those mistakes, and sometimes she suffered for them. Like one of those mistakes being trusting Maven. But she didn't obsess over them and whine about them, she just moved on with her life. She was a decent heroine like Triss Pryor or Katniss Everdeen.
Mare from Glass Sword is a completely different character. She's bogged down by her mistakes, fixated on pain and suffering, and racked with guilt. She's a black hole that sucks out all the life from this book and takes away anything that could have been enjoyable about the story. Every other one of Mare's thoughts is either something absolutely depressing or super self-pitying. It's like a dystopian novel with Eeyore as the protagonist. And it's not like there haven't been other characters who've been super guilty or have made major mistakes or any of these other things. It's just this is the entire focus of Mare's inner monologue. And what's really funny is Cal, right out tells her what's exactly wrong with her. But still, you feel no remorse for the dead. You do whatever you can to forget them. You abandoned your family without a word. You can't control yourself. Half the time you run away from leadership, and the other half you act like some untouchable martyr crowned in guilt. The only person who's really given herself to the cause.
So imagine that nightmare. But Mare's inner monologue takes up 90% of the book, so that's fun. And you know what usually breaks up an inner monologue? Dialogue. But oops, if no one's talking to further the plot, no one is talking at all. So basically, character development is in a constant holding pattern like the next season of Sherlock.
But there has to be drama, right? I mean, if you made it this far into the book, and Mare hasn't scared you off, there has to be some drama. And there is. And the drama is mostly between Mare and Cal, or Mare and Clorne. But this drama doesn't really serve a purpose. It's just there to be drama. For example, Mare and Clorne, best friends, inseparable, grew up together. Well, guess what? They're fighting. They haven't talked for weeks. What started this fight? I don't know. How long this fight has really gone on? I don't know. But the thing is, I don't really care.
Glass Sword was our chance to get to know some of the other characters. Cal, Farley, Killorn, they're all the only really holdovers from the last book. But I don't know anything about these characters. Farley joined the Red Revolution because Silvers oppressed Reds, and Killorn joined because they nearly drafted him that one time. I mean, nothing is personal for these characters. They're all in this revolution because Silvers are awful people. But look at any good dystopia. Katniss's fight became personal when Rue died. In the Newest Flesh trilogy, it was people actively trying to assassinate Sean and George that got them involved. And Triss's fight became personal when the Erudites started killing off Abnegation.
The only person who this is personal for is Cal. And that's because Maven and his mother made him behead his father. And now he's going around and he's seeing exactly how oppressive his regime was. But because Mare never discusses anything and goes around acting like a 2-bit psychic, interpreting everyone's minds without any hard evidence, his extremely gigantic internal struggle is happening in the background.
And as for plot and pacing, every page was pretty much like a paper cut, tiny on the webbings of my finger. Just slow and painful and hard to concentrate on. I mean, up until the big rescue mission, nothing interesting happens. I guess they go around rescuing new bloods from cities right under the nose of the town guard, but somehow that's boring. And then they go home and they train these new bloods with superhero powers, and somehow that's boring too.
The worst part is everyone's turned into cardboard cutouts. Red Society, Silver Society, Cal, Maven. Everything's binary. Reds are good, silvers are bad. Cal is the fiery prince, Maven is the shadow boy, Killorn is the fish boy. And while that wasn't exactly what Aveyard was going for, that's how it comes across. We're told that there are some decent silvers out there, other than the ones that Mare calls friends, but we're never introduced to them, and we can only assume that there are some reds out there who aren't that great, but we're never shown otherwise.
The only way to talk about something good in this book is to talk about specific moments. I like when Cal and Mare start talking about Maven and mourning him as the boy they used to know. And I like Mare's plans for after the prison break, which I won't spoil for you.
I liked the side character Nanny, who's this old woman who can shape-shift into anyone. But these few good things don't erase the bad.
I have seen this book compared to a lot of other books. Some people think that Maven is going to pull a Warner from Shatter Me and actually have a really good reason why he's being a brutal little monster. Other people have compared Mare's descent into badhood with Edlena's descent into crazy in the Young Elites. And other people have pointed at the Grisha villain, who ended up becoming the tyrant he was trying to depose. But the thing is, those books did those elements so much better.
Red Queen was really good, and it took on a lot of YA cliches, but Glass Sword was not of the caliber we were promised. I feel like I could talk for hours of how this book went wrong.
You know what? I'm sad that this book wasn't for me, and I'm not sure that I really hold out any hope for the next one. But that's the thing, isn't it? Anyone can betray anyone.